The Marino Show.
They are Austin's one and only plus-size performance troupe. I'm talking about Fat Bottom Cabaret. Today I'm here at the Stateside Theater at the Paramount to talk to the founder. Well, I'm here with Nikki Devon, founder of Fat Bottom Cabaret. Nikki, I'm so glad that you agreed to do this show. I've been watching your Instagram channel, which it's hot. You have a lot of cool stuff on there.
Oh,
Nikki,
thanks.
You're really big about body positivity, obviously,
Yes.
and that was sort of the idea behind founding Fat Bottom Cabaret. Tell me how this all came about.
So basically, I was, 2010, I was emceeing and singing in a bunch of shows, and I just kind of one day realized that everybody looked the same except me. Like it was like me and then like 17 Betty Pages. And then,
Got it.
You know what I mean? Like
in Austin, that makes a lot of sense.
Right,
yeah.
right. And so I was like, oh, okay, like this is kind of weird. Like, you know, anytime you're somewhere and you're the only one, you're very aware. It's just like, this doesn't make any sense. There's got to be other people that look like me that want to dance on stage, that want to perform, that want to share their art. Literally, that's how it started. I was like, you know what, I'm going to put out a Craigslist and see if there are other, you know what I mean? Like, if I want to see this, maybe why not just start it and do it myself? And that's literally how it started. I was like, if people are coming to pay and see these shows and they're not seeing themselves on stage, how can that be good for them? How can that be enjoyable for them? I wonder how much better it would be if they could look on the stage and see somebody that looks like them. So, and I was just like, that's it. That's how it started. And I was like, you know what? We're going to do this like fat, brown girl, love yourself, love your body, get on stage, let everybody see you do it. If I can do it, you can do it, kind of, you know, representation, visibility kind of thing.
So when you started this back in 2010, you know, the times have changed a bit, even from 2010 to 2022. You hear a lot now about body positivity. But even just that short time ago, you weren't seeing the Lizzos, the Megans. They weren't like, at least commercially, the way we see it now. You didn't have anybody really preaching out there and talking about it. Did you meet any resistance, or what did you deal with when you came up with this idea? Did people push back on it?
I mean, honestly, mostly people were just like, so you're going to put fat women on stage, you know, barely dressed, and you think people are going to want to come see that? And I'm like, absolutely. They're absolutely going to come see it. So when we first started, we really couldn't get gigs in Austin. The few gigs we got in Austin were friends of mine. Like, I had a friend named Dorian who had a South by Southwest thing, and he invited us. There's another troupe in Austin called the Bat City Bombshells. Our very first gig in Austin was at their show. Until they did that, we had to drive to San Antonio. San Antonio were the only times that we could get people to put us on stage, because people just didn't think that anybody wanted to see fat women on stage being sexy. So we could not get a gig. We had to drive to San Antonio for like that first year. Then I just got tired of it, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna put on my own show, because this is ridiculous.
So when you talk about putting on a show, tell me what that is, what that looks like. I know it's choreographed, it's very professional. I've seen some of the clips, and we'll get more into that in terms of awards and some of the attention that you've gotten, which is great. But what is the show like? I know it probably changes, but what is it like?
My idea was I would create a variety show that would only have people of size, queer people, or people of color. That's it. So I wanted a show full of just like diverse brown bodies, like just doing their art in whatever way it seemed good to them. Drag, burlesque, cabaret. And Fat Bottom would be essentially the producer of it. So it's like, hey, come look at our friends. Come look at all of our friends. And so Fat Bottom, we have 4 choreographed routines that we do in between. So it's like you'll have 2 or 3 acts, and then Fat Bottom will come and be like, and we'll do our dance, and then 2 or 3 more acts. So it's just a variety show, but it's specific. You got to be a person of color or of size, or you got to be queer.
You know, it's surprising to me that Austin wasn't as open to the show as you thought they would have been, because when you think of Austin, especially back then, you know, it's changed a lot even today, Austin has, but it is very much inclusive. You always hear Austin's inclusive, all sorts of different people. But to see that happening for you, what went through your mind when you were like running into walls trying to book shows here?
I was really sad because I'm from here. This is my home. I was born and raised in Austin. So the idea that it felt that people weren't interested in my art and wasn't interested in the type of art that I was trying to put forth in the world really hurt. It hurt my feelings, for lack of a better way to say it. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, are y'all serious with this? Like, as it is, you know, like brown people are being pushed out because, you know, gentrification was starting then at that point too. So it just felt like it was like a culmination of me being othered at first. So it didn't feel great. And not just with the brownness, but like the queerness too. Like, our MC was a bearded drag queen, and he would put like glitter in his beard, and we had people walk out sometimes. So I'm like, you can't say that you're this inclusive, wonderful place, but you can't handle a man in a dress with glitter in his beard? Come on. You know what I mean? So it's like, everything that we did at the beginning was just favors from my friends that were in the service industry. I was like, can you ask? That's how we got it. It's just my friends, my community that was like, you know what? I know somebody that works at the Stateside. I know somebody that works at the North Door. My friend is a general manager. That's how we did it. It was just friends and community that I already had. I was lucky.
So you get the shows going, you start getting really into it. First you start in San Antonio, eventually you end up here. When did the light bulb go off in your head that, wow, people are really coming to this? Was there a moment when you thought, this is working, people are into it? And what was that moment for you?
It is so funny that you asked that, because I can tell you absolutely when it was. We had our first show here. The first show we had here, and we had been at this point, you know, having shows at the North Door and having shows at other places. We had our first show here
at Stateside,
at the Stateside Theater, and we sold out 300 seats.
Wow!
And I remember thinking, oh my God, who are these people? Who are these people? Who are these people that are coming? And there was a moment of just like, I was scared for a moment. I thought, oh no, are these people that are coming to make fun of us? Are they coming to see like, you know, I had all these imposter syndrome thoughts. And then we have this show, and we had like, you know, one or two people be like, this isn't what I thought it was. And they did not come after intermission, but everybody else stayed. Everybody stayed and had a great time, and it was a great show. And I just remember at the end being like, okay, that's what I needed, universe, that's what I needed. I just needed that thing to be like, you're on the right path.
I'm sure that you have people that come to the show that want to see themselves, as you mentioned. What has been the reaction from some of those people? I'm sure that you've heard some stories from folks who probably grew up dealing with being made fun of, whether they're queer, whether they're bigger, whether they're different in any way. Has it been sort of, like, I know this journey for you has been probably one of self-acceptance, but also, you know, hearing those people, what have you heard that really has struck a chord for you?
The thing that I hear consistently is, you know what? When I came to this show, before I came to the show, I never would have thought to wear X. Like, I never would have thought to wear a shirt with my arms out. That was one of the first things a woman came up to me and said, and was like, I've never worn sleeveless shirts in public. And she's like, and just coming to this show and seeing all of you being so confident, being so full of life, I feel like I'm just gonna try it and see. And I was like, that is probably the best thing anybody's ever said to me. Like, and it's just been things that are consistent. Just like, oh man, it just feels so good to see, you know, because one of our performers is, a man named Jasper St. James, and he fully embraces his queerness, his sexuality. Like, it's beautiful. And so having people come to me and be like, I have never seen a gay man on stage that wasn't 110 pounds, you know, like with a 6-pack. You know what I mean? And like it feels so good he looks like me. He looks like my cousin or my brother or whatever. That's the kind of stuff. I'm just like, yeah, that's dope. That's what it is, because all of these different types of people exist. Why don't we see them? And so those are the types of things that every time I hear it, that's the consistent thing. It's just like, that person looks like me, or that person looks like my sister, or that person looks like my mom, or whatever.
Yeah.
I love it.
So growing up, Nikki, did you like to dance, or what were your interests as growing up here in Austin?
Yes, unfortunately for my parents, I have been this person. I have been this person since I was like 3. I used to put on shows for my parents as gifts, like anniversary presents. I would make them sit down, and I'd have a whole show that I put on where I'd lip sync and put towels on my head for hair. Like from the time that I was like tiny, I like to entertain people, and I like to make people smile and laugh. And that's just so I've just always been a clown. I've always been a ham, always, to my mother's, you know. She accepts it. She's grown to love it. But like, there are some times that she sees me and she's just like, it's like looking at a 3-year-old. It's like looking at the same person.
And speaking of, what does your family think of the show and what you've done with this?
Well, my sister is one of the co-producers, and she's been with me from the very, very beginning. I can't say it enough. I'm so lucky. My mom comes to every single show. I'm lucky. You know what I mean? Like, there are some things about the show that of course makes her uncomfortable. And so in those times she gets out her Candy Crush. And so there's a running joke with everybody that comes. I was like, oh, my mom's on Candy Crush, y'all. She's uncomfortable. But she wants to be there and she wants to support, and that means everything to me. So it also feels like she helps sew costumes. It feels like I have this thing with my family too. It feels like a family, you know. And now all of the women that are in the troupe, they're my closest friends, right? So it feels like I have this like family band kind of thing, which is awesome.
Let's talk about the women in the troupe.
Yeah.
They're from all walks of life.
Yes.
Tell me a little about how you go about becoming a part of Fat Bottom Cabaret and the family.
Well, so we, when it started out, I was just like stopping women on the street and being kind of, now that I know, creepy, and just being like, hey, do you sing or dance perchance? And like, handing them a card. But so we just have auditions. And for a while, we were strictly, we've changed. We've gone back and forth. At first, we had it opened up to everybody. And then at some point, it felt really, really important for me to close it to women of color only. And because the times were changing and there was a lot of things going on in the world. And I felt like in that moment, it just needed to be women of color to have this platform and this visibility, right? And then recently, like last year or this year, we opened it back up to all races, colors, or whatever. Now, we don't have a gender. It doesn't matter. Everybody is welcome. Like, that's been from the beginning. But we did go through a part where we were like, we just only want people of color for now. But now it's open to everybody. So you audition. And if you make the audition, then you are in a probationary period because, it's more than just being able to dance. Like, you really have to buy into, this mission of spreading this like radical self-love, radical at every version of yourself. So you got to kind of like buy into it. You know what I mean? So there's like a probationary period, but then when you're in, because we spend so much time together. We see each other every single week, sometimes twice a week. You get to know each other very quickly, and it becomes really insular really quickly. So.
And I saw y'all recently did a photo shoot for Fat Bottom Cabaret.
Yeah.
I saw that on Instagram.
Yeah, we have a new crop of women right now, so it'll take some time for us to find our rhythm. And that's how it is every time. But like, once we do, then you just have this pack, right? For that I can't imagine my life without some of these women for sure.
So you actually choreograph the show, right?
Yes. I choreograph all of Fat Bottom's dancing.
That's awesome.
Love it. It's my favorite thing. And it's great because, 90% of them are better dancers than me.
But you used to dance a lot.
did,
in it.
yeah, I
And now
did.
you're more MC,
And producing.
producer,
Yeah.
choreographer, which is a lot of work.
It is a lot. It is a lot
I
of
would
work.
say it's more work being behind the scenes
Yeah.
in some ways,
It
right?
is. It was definitely an on purpose decision. Like I was dancing in the show and I was producing and I was emceeing and I was just like, this is too much. You're gonna have to pick something. And it was hard to it was hard. It was hard to let go of dancing. It really, really was. But I feel stronger as an MC and as a producer, and I feel like I have more autonomy and control over how we grow.
Yeah, the vision. It's like your 100% vision. So I was also reading that you all won like recently a big award, and you've won some other awards. Talk to me about that.
So we normally before the pandemic, of course, you go to different festivals and you compete for trophies. Like normally it's best group. So we've won the Texas Burlesque Festival. We were audience choice and best group like 2 years in a row. There's something called the Burlesque Hall of Fame. It happens in Las Vegas, and I equate it to being the Super Bowl of burlesque. Essentially, is what it is, and it's big and sparkly and wonderful, and like it's kind of like that, that thing that all burlesque performers really, really. It's like once you get there, like you're doing really good because you can be seen by people all over the world.
Yeah.
And so everybody from all over the world flies into Vegas, and we competed in June, and we won Best Large Group. And so we are considered the best large group in burlesque in the world for 2022.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that must have been like a full circle moment for you.
Complete and utter full circle moment. And there's been a lot of changes. Like we won it. We were supposed to perform it in 2020. And so it's been put off for 2 years. And in those 2 years, the women that were in here before are no longer in the group, but they came back. So they all came back and we got together kind of like one last time and we're able to like full circle into like, yeah, this is what we worked so hard for. This is where we got, and it was awesome.
And I'd say there's a lot of versatility in what you do because just seeing some of the clips, they're very different. The dressing is different in each one. I mean, it's a variety show.
Yes. Yeah. That's the best thing about it because it allows our cast to bring whatever they want to bring, whatever you're feeling good about, whatever is like, whether it be political, sexy, whatever it is, you bring it. You have a stage for it. It's perfect. And I think that's why I like to take care of the producing so they don't have to worry about that. You show up and you do your art. That's it.
Who were your inspirations growing up or that anyone you looked up to that made you feel good about yourself or get to that point where you accepted?
Oh man. I would say definitely Ruth Brown, and it's just because she was straight up vaudeville, just like foul mouthed, big voice, big black woman. She was probably one of the people, because it's like, Ma Rainey and Bessie Davis, those were a little, back in the day, but Ruth Brown was like, my mom listened to her records. And so I would sneak and listen to her records. And when my mom watched her, I'd be like, oh my God, this woman is amazing. And then of course, Aretha Franklin, because she can do no wrong. And that's, she's just whatever. But in the burlesque community, there's a performer named Alada Boutte, because when I started Fat Bottom, there was like 3 women that I could find. So it's like Harlem Shake Burlesque, Alada Boutte, and a woman named Jeezy Louise. And they were the only, I was like, okay, so somebody's doing it. It exists. And so I really liked their art and I liked the things that they were doing. So that was a little bit closer that I can like reach out to and talk to and stuff like that.
How do you feel about seeing on a commercial level some of the artists that are coming out, that you do have your bigger girls that are of color, like your Lizzos, Megans, even more out there that now have a voice that I don't think people would have been ready for a while back?
Oh my God. I mean,
because you were even ahead of the curve. It's like they caught up, but it took a while. So now that you're seeing, you've always been body positive, but now it's become it's like out there, it's talked about. How does that make you feel seeing that?
I mean, so I feel like the body positivity movement has been co-opted in a way that there are still people that look like me, that look like Lizzo, that look like you, that look like the women in my troupe that are marginalized. This idea of body positivity is the same tall, white, fat-ish, acceptable fat. You know what I mean? Like it's like when you're feeling your best and you're doing. It still seems and reads to me as not inclusive and ableist and unrealistic, right? And so it still feels like there's work to be done. So when I see Megan, when Lizzo, I remember when I saw Lizzo here at South by Southwest, and I was walking by and I saw this beautiful big woman in some like jogging shorts with a flute. And I was like, what in the hell is happening? I remember that feeling of being like, oh my God, that excitement.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I feel like everybody should have that moment of like, what's happening? So seeing her as big as she is, like as big as she's gotten, is amazing, because then there are other girls that are like me that can see that and be like, holy shit, who is that? Who is that? She's awesome. She's amazing. Same with Megan. Like the representation just needs to be there constantly. And so I feel like there's enough for all of us. There's enough for everybody. I love it. I love it. I mean, there's enough for all of us.
I agree with you.
I wish there was more.
It's good to be able to see people that look like you. I remember growing up, like I grew up in the 80s, and I did not see many artists that were like brown. Or like Gloria Estefan was the only one.
Yeah.
And unless you were singing Spanish strictly, but you didn't see anybody really commercial. So mine were like Ricky Ricardo and Gloria Estefan. And now you're seeing more, but I even growing up felt like I don't ever see me.
Right, ever. You don't see yourself.
You see one. Oh, there's one person, we'll let them have, there's the one.
And then what ends up happening is what I now call the Cosby effect. It's like, if the only thing that you see is like, that's the only representation of yourself that you see, then you end up idolizing that, and you end up putting these people up, up and beyond reproach. And then I'm not saying everybody is Cosby, but I'm like, it gives way to these unspeakable things. And then it's hard for people like me to be like, but Cosby? Like, I remember just being like, no, this is the only representation I had of myself for 20 years. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, whereas if that was commonplace.
Right. There were other people that were making those strides.
Right.
But then everybody puts it on. And then there's also the other side of, well, see, like the people who are,
Exactly.
You can't mess up if you're the one person that, and granted, his was more than...
He's terrible.
Yeah. But I'm saying you are held to like a level
to a huge standard. You become the person, the monolith, the one person that speaks for all, right? So it's like every time I see like another brown person, another queer person get like, I'm just like, yes, it's time. It's about time. It's past time.
Yeah.
Like why is it's 2022 and we still are just now getting openly queer black raps? Like it blows my mind. And still when Lil Nas X came out, there was still a push.
There's still a pushback.
What the heck?
With him.
It's like, So like as long as that's happening, there's still room. It's still room for everybody. Everybody needs to do it. Everybody.
Yeah. So if somebody comes to your show who's never been before, what can they expect?
Well, they can expect, I'm biased, but they can expect some of the best performers, I think, for sure in Texas, but I would say in the country. They can expect fun, rowdiness. They can expect to see all different body types. They can expect to see all different genders. They can expect to see queer people, straight people, non-binary people, cis people. They can expect diversity. They can expect a good time. They can expect a lot of cursing. They can expect, because I cannot keep my mouth and they can also just expect fun and you know what I mean? So you close those doors and then you are here with us.
And you MC, so what do you talk about what kind of things do you talk about when you MC? Is just emceeing the show or making jokes or what?
Everything. I MC, I make jokes, I talk about the show, I make jokes. I love interacting with the crowd, love talking to the crowd, and sometimes, you have a microphone, so it's also a really good opportunity to talk about the world. And so, you know what I mean? Like sometimes that'll come up too, depending on
Like what's happening.
What's happening. Yeah. Depending on, I mean, yeah, we're here and we're having a good time, but let us not forget that, you know, there are still these other things that are happening. So just as a side, next time you know, donate money, make sure you donate to these things too. Like that, anytime you have a microphone, you have a responsibility.
What would your message be to, especially a young person that's struggling with who they are, whether that be gay, it be big, be black, brown, whatever, as somebody who has gone through those ups and downs myself as well.
Yeah.
What would your message be to someone who may be watching this that is struggling right now and not happy with who they are?
I think my biggest message is it's okay. It's okay. There's no rule that says that you have to be happy with yourself and like always be like, I'm the best all the time. That's no. But what you can do is you can love yourself at every version, even when you don't feel great, even when you don't feel your best, even when you don't think you're doing your best. You still have to be easy and be graceful, but be gracious to that person because they are holding you down while you get to your next place, right? And so it's a journey. Loving yourself is a journey. Being comfortable in yourself is a journey. So this feeling that you have right now is going to pass.
I would say even when you are older myself, I have some days where I'm just like, I'm not happy with today.
Exactly,
you know?
exactly. And that's what people don't talk about. It's like, yes, love yourself, love yourself. It's such a vague thing, but you need to love yourself at every version because it's like, and it is work and you do have to work at it, but it's worth it because you are always changing, you're always growing, and this person that you are now, you will not be this person in a year or 2 years or 3 years, right? Like we have to figure out ways to just remember to take it easy on ourselves and not be so hard on ourselves. And also there's only one of you. It's like that old saying that everybody says, there's only one of you. And that in itself is just a goddamn miracle. There's just you, that's it. Nobody else is like you, nobody. Yeah. And that in itself is worthy of just like attention and love and celebration, even when you don't always feel like it. Even when you feel like you're having a rough day, you still like, you know what, body, I appreciate you. I appreciate you for holding me up today. It was a tough day. You know, give yourself a hug, mentally, emotions. I appreciate y'all for holding me down today. That's what I would say. We're such a diverse place, right? So like there is no excuse anymore for only showing this single idea of what we are as people, right? So like everybody get on the band. Everybody get in the truck, get in the car. Let's go, everybody.
Awesome. So Nikki, if people want to learn more about Fat Bottom Cabaret, where can they go to find you?
At Fat Bottom on Instagram. We're also on TikTok under Fat Bottom, and we're on Facebook, Fat Bottom Cabaret.
And you'll see lots of cool content. I've seen it, folks. It will keep you entertained. So
that's for sure. That's for sure.
Thank you so much, Nikki, for being with me today.
For
I
having
appreciate
me.
it.
I appreciate it.
And we'll see you next time on The Marino Show.
Tell why you trying, fars girls you got fly. I can tell why you trying, make your arm, but I'm looking for the one. Have you seen her? My second